Yo, what is up, guys? Back for another live stream. Thanks for joining in live. If you are, hit me up in the comments. Let me know that you're here. And let me just break it down for you a little bit of a recap of what I've been doing and what we're going to get into today. So, this month, I decided I wanted to do a challenge of getting out there in the community, putting myself out there, really to connect with more people, again, get out there, like push myself a little bit personally on the video, what that really looks like and feels like for me as far as just improving my speaking ability and comfortability on video. So I initially set this out at the end of April. I was like, you know what, I'm going to do a challenge, you go live every day in May. And then started putting the information together, and then I realized I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be out of town in the middle of May." So, it's not every single day that I'm live because when I was out, I was literally out of service. I had no service. There's no way I could have done it live. But I'm back at it this week. I've been trying to play around with some different ideas and potential series that could go longer or continue being content that I build and put out there. So a couple of those ideas that I've been doing and kind of going through this week, you'll see it as well. Newsletter review. So if you're not familiar, I do a newsletter every week from a buyer's perspective. And so I've been the last couple of weeks just going over what the newsletter topic is and kind of giving it a little bit more nuance in what information I'm sharing and really giving a little bit more color to what happens, in the situation for the buyer, how friction shows up, what it really looks like, and how it impacts the buyer, whatever the topic is. Then I've been doing what I call Battle of the Sets, which I am doing today. We're going to get into one category set with two different retailers, and we're not necessarily battling them head to head. It's really about me from a buyer's perspective looking at this different category or same category at different stores and giving you the breakdown of what I think. What does it really look like? How did they set it up? Is it meeting the customer's needs? And based off of that information, I'll just share my opinion on where I think the stores hit it, where they maybe have a gap or an opportunity, and just overall kind of idea and the process behind what goes into a category review. Then I have buyer hotline. That's just really straight up Q&A. You can bring a problem that you have, a situation that you're trying to figure out, an email that maybe you have not been able to get an answer to, and I can help you diagnose that, like figure out, we can answer questions, we can diagnose some areas where maybe there's opportunity, clean up the communication, and how to make it better suited for the buyer, make it buyer ready. And then the other one, which I'm excited for, I always like doing this, is the product review. Product review, it's not just taste test. I'm not coming in here just, tasting the product, telling you what I think of it. It's really breaking down how I would look at it as a buyer. If this product came up to me, whether that was in front of me at a trade show, a category review, or just an email submission and somebody dropped a sample, whatever it is, I want to take a look at the product, tell you what I think about the different areas that buyers think about that product and what that process looks like. But then also, the fun part of actually tasting the product, letting you know what I think of the quality, the flavors, the format, all of those different things. So that's kind of the breakdown here. That's what I've been working on. What I need from you is, if you're watching this live or you watch it later, just comment and let me know what segment you kind of gravitate towards. What feels like it adds the most value, what could be entertaining and have fun watching and getting into and learning from the different areas that the buyer's perspective. So if you could do that for me, throw in the comments what you think you kind of gravitate towards, and I will, at the end of May, do a kind of a review and a recap, see what is getting the most engagement, but also what I like the most and what I like doing, and then we'll keep that going in some way or another. Might not be live streams all the time, it might be just recorded videos and then posting, but just wanted to share that info with you. All right, so today we're getting into Battle of the Sets. And today we have fruit snacks. If you did not see the post, you're about to see what that looks like. Let me share my screen. All right. So we're looking at fruit snacks. I stopped by Fred Meyer last night and then New Seasons across the street. And I was just walking the store at Fred Meyer. I was killing time while my daughter was at a performance and she wasn't performing. Otherwise, I would be there watching. She was at a friend's performance. Just clarify. So I stopped in Fred Meyer and I was just walking the sets trying to get an idea. We've done nut butter, we've done nutrition bars, I've done pictures of yogurt and things like that, but this one caught my eye and mostly at Fred Meyer first, on how it looked. And so what we're gonna do, we're gonna go into it, break down each store's set individually. I'll talk about it, what I like, what I don't like, what kind of areas we look at as buyers and what stays top of mind. And there's going to be just a sneak peek, there's going to be something about how you can probably position yourself if you're a fruit snack company to get some more space if you see opportunities like this. So, especially at New Seasons, if you are paying attention to that and you are a fruit snack company, this is what you want to listen in for. All right, so let's get into it. Fred Meyer, pretty standard conventional set. It's got a lot of mainstream brands. We've got value packs, pretty standard for any kind of conventional retailer, especially in the mass channel like that. Fred Meyer, Kroger, the Safeway, Albertsons, Walmart, etc. And then New Seasons, it's definitely got a better for you options, very little conventional options, and you can tell it's curated variety. So what does that actually mean? Like, let's get into the set first. We're going to look at New Seasons first. So keep in mind, I have a little bit of information that most people probably wouldn't because I worked there. When we are looking at this set, it might not be the most common set. And we typically work our schematics off of that where, if you have multiple stores and they are not all the same size and you have different size sets in each store, the category manager starts out building a set for what they consider the most common. It's like the base set that will work across most of the stores, the majority of them. When you are looking at that, you make your decisions on new items and discontinues from company wide in that regard. Because if you start looking at the smallest set in the store or in the company and you start making decisions on what to disco, you're going to have a lot more items that are going to be not carried in the larger stores because you discontinued items that could fit in a larger store if they were still around. So, there's this idea that when you first start looking at a set, that's the way we did it at least, was this most common set. So, I don't believe this is the true most common set. I think that there is, hold on one second, my screen's being a little weird. Okay. So, I don't think that this is the most common set that we have here. We have a lot of space that you can see on the dried fruit. This is a combination set. So, thinking through New Seasons and probably any natural retailer, there really isn't a whole lot of variety and like brands and options for the fruit snack area. So, typically speaking, unless it's a larger store in natural, you're probably not going to have a full 4-foot section of fruit snacks. So I understand the combination here. What I would say is it seems a little heavy on the dried fruit, like uh, fruit chips, apple chips, and beet chips. Looks like they have a bunch of different varieties in here now, banana chips. And what I would say is this opportunity here, this is something that if you are a fruit snack company right now and you're trying to get into new seasons specifically, if this is their set that they're building off of, then you can use this information and take a picture like this, show it to the buyer and say, "Hey, I've looked at some data. I see the way that your set is designed right now, and actually look at the data. You got to know what you are speaking to in regards of what these brands are doing and how much volume they're generating. But I can almost guarantee you don't need 4 facings on any one of these items. That might be more of a pack out thing, but that would be honestly what happened. It's probably some items got discontinued in between a reset and items got spread out. So there's extra space here. Now, it's up to the category manager. Do they use that space for fruit snacks and expand to 4 shelves, or do they bring in other apple chips or fruit chips, things like that? That is your play as a fruit snack company that you would want to argue or defend a case, present a case for expanding fruit snacks. And with how many facings there are, how many brands there are, that seems like a pretty logical case that you can bring to the buyer. As long as you have the data, you have this picture that you can show how you could do it, you could probably get another shelf in here. Now, not to say that as a new brand you're going to get a full shelf, but you can start navigating that conversation and saying, well, if you move Annie's up and give them 2 full shelves, you have some items split up that, can be put together. And then you can do your bare fruit, your bare yo-yo ones, put those all together. Then you have a shelf that could be split between like Soli and your item or whatever that combination looks like. So that's the way I would just approach a buyer in that situation. When you see a clear opportunity like that, paint a picture, actually get the picture and paint it for them of where things can move around. You could put this into Canva or PowerPoint. You could use ChatGPT and say, "Hey, condense these facings and move them up and open up a shelf for my product," and like have it put the items in there. You could do this a lot of different ways, but then back it up with some data. If you have it, if you don't have data, the picture will suffice. If you just kind of give them an option or the ability to see what something else could look like. Data obviously is great to support that. Not every brand is going to have access to it, so it really depends on your situation. Okay, so let's get into brand blocking. Now, keep in mind, again, a lot of stuff happens in the store between resets. So no matter what set we are looking at, there's almost 100% guarantee that it is not built in the actual store the way that the category manager designed it on the planogram software. So I might be nitpicky here a little bit, and there might be things on either store that we go through, but generally speaking, it's not necessarily going back as a reflection on the category manager. Stuff happens. Things get discontinued, items are out of stock, and the store has to make changes to make sure that it doesn't look like crap, with the different holes and things like that. So keep that in mind. That's always kind of the baseline understanding here, is that I'm not trying to pick apart category managers' work. I just am wanting to call out some opportunities, and with that understanding, that context, that it might not have even been their decision to make this for like this item 4 facings, for example. All right, so brand block. I think overall, you have an Annie's block here. There's a little bit of something going on here. It's the peel aparts, which they're not traditional fruit snacks. So maybe there was an idea that it should be separated. There's also, you can see the Bear Yo-Yo has fruit splits. So kind of the same deal in a way. Similar concept that it is outside of a traditional fruit snack. What might help this is putting them closer together, keeping the non-fruit snack items grouped together in a little segment here. That might have been something that could be, a tweak. Then you have, so Annie's is pretty good here. I can't tell from here if this is Annie's or Bear Yo-Yo, but I believe that's a Bear Yo-Yo item. So you actually have a little bit of a block that's off, like not horrible, but like if you're going off of data, this stuff happens, but aesthetically, it just doesn't look as great. And sometimes, you can't get over that as a buyer when you show like, oh, the data shows this really needs two facings for the amount of volume that it does. So fruit snacks, you've got this little Annie's block, you've got the Bear Yo-Yo that kind of goes in here, and also down here, again, it's kind of like a little L shape on its side and inverted. Solely looks pretty good being all by on one shelf. Having the fruit by the foot variety pack, looks like there's fruit roll-ups, fruit by the foot, and gushers. So that's very conventional. That to me seems like that should be like baby in the corner. You just hide that and put it over here somewhere. Having it split right between some pretty like very natural and clean ingredient items like the Soli and then the Bear Yo-Yo seems a little odd to me. But again, that might be a store thing that happened. So now as we go and look at the fruit chips, everything looks to be pretty much a horizontal block. So you've got a little bit of a vertical block here with the Annie's, not really vertical because it's only two shelves, but kind of. Everything here is horizontal. So you've got your banana chips, apple chips, other chips. I have not seen this brand before, Root. So that must be somewhat new. And then you've got this guy, Crispy Fruit, and a lot of different variety, but it is fruit, whereas you have some root vegetables here. And yeah, it looks like beet, zucchini, and cauliflower. And then at the top, you've got the Soli and Dane coconut chips. So honestly, again, I don't think this is the way the set was designed on the planogram. Seems like a hot mess when you start looking at all of this. Like, I can't imagine this is the only coconut chip that they have, that they only have one SKU right there. So why is it even in there? Solely having three facings on pineapple, they have a pretty big selection of items here. So only having one SKU of their larger multi-serve bag seems a little odd. Usually, retailers will do minimum like two items, but typically it's like three to start so that you do get somewhat of a brand block. So, this is a good example of this brand right here. There's two double facings, but this is a brand with one, two, three, four items. So I would have expected probably the same with the Soli. And thinking through that the coconut chips are probably somewhere else and that could go somewhere else. And then you would have like a cleaner kind of block and understanding of what is going on here. Then it would be pretty clean, like banana chips, apple chips, root chips, fruit chips, and uh, also fruit chips in a way. Overall, again, I don't know if it's their main set. I don't think it is, but I don't love it because of all of this extra facings, like so many extra facings. And again, it might be between category review, so it's something that they're working on, but there are way too many facings for how much these move. I can almost guarantee that these do not move and enough to warrant 4 units or 4 facings. So, I would lean towards making a more even split. You could do 4 shelves of fruit snacks, 4 shelves of regular, and what you could do is move the Annies up, put it into 2 shelves, move these peel-aways in there, and maybe put in the Bear Yo-Yo items as well. So maybe it's like a little bit of a block of Annie's and Bear Yo-Yo, and then you have Soli and whatever that other brand that you would want to bring in. And the benefit to this is when you get that extra variety and you don't just go and double face these items now, you have another opportunity for promotions. You have another opportunity for the brand, for the customer, at least in natural, especially new seasons. They always liked having more variety to help really drive this idea that you can find new things in the store, and it was very common to have new items coming in. So that seems like an easy way to get a new brand in there. You get more promotional allowances kind of spread out throughout the year, because then you have some flexibility that you could put, even if you had 3 or 4 promos a year on each brand, now you have something where there is some kind of promotional activity in the set more often throughout the year. All right, let's look at Fred Meyer. This one, also hot mess, but for a different reason. So again, we're looking at how each retailer comes to and shows up for their customer. New Seasons was almost there, like they had the top selling Annie's fruit snacks and everything, but had some opportunity. I think this is a miss, having so much fruit snacks of the conventional and just the pretty much bare minimum on the natural, and really only Annie's focused. They have a little bit of their Simple Truth, but those are more fruit leathers, not fruit snacks. And really the only fruit snacks are, they have, looks like 2 flavors, 1 value pack, then you've got some variety packs here. So very little variety on the natural, but huge variety on, not, I mean, it's huge variety on the conventional fruit snacks. And when you start looking into it, what I what I don't know is if how much these family packs really move. You have a lot of, cool designs and kid focused themes with Jurassic Park, Bluey, Mario, Moana, Harry Potter, all those different things that you would expect in kind of the conventional brands. And I think, for the most part, they do a good job. They do more vertical blocking here. You can see they have the Funables items, then they've got, uh, I don't know which manufacturer all of these are. There's 2 big ones, and that I remember. I know it is, oh man, I can't remember. It's been a while since I've done conventional. So we'll skip that. But oh, Betty Crocker. Betty Crocker is one. I can see that right there from the logo. So Betty Crocker is doing a big chunk of this stuff over here, and then this other brand came in. I don't think Funables is, maybe it's a newer brand or a repositioning of another brand that used to be around. But what I think, like we saw this in the nut butter section too, is that there's a lot of singles and variety, and then vertically going up the set, you can see there's multi-pack, family pack, mega pack, like all these different packs. And I think to some degree, it's probably something that is necessary for Fred Meyer, because like the Safeway conversation that we had before, they do have crossover customers going to Costco. So they're going to need to have something that can kind of compete with the Costco price value that somebody would get. Now, the way it is set up, I don't really love. I don't love the brand blocks because they're not really blocked very well. You can see Welch's kind of has a block, but then it has some Black Forest here. Welch's is over here. You've got kind of a block of the Betty Crocker miscellaneous stuff, like the Fruit by the Foot and the Gushers and everything. That's probably the most clean block right here, is that they have two facings vertically. And then I didn't even address the elephant in the room. Like, don't get me started. Why the hell is there snack packs? Like, why is there pudding in with the fruit snacks? I don't know. Seems weird to me. I get it. Like, this is 6 feet. So maybe, there's not enough a need for a full section of snack packs. So they just combined it. Again, the blocking is really not great. They could have easily turned this vertical. They could have tightened things up in some of these areas where they have horizontal. They could have tightened it up and expanded something. Like, they probably could have gotten another facing of snack pack here if they turned this vertical. And yeah, just overall, this is a lot to look at. Like, to me, very overwhelming. And as much as I love snack packs, I just don't see it being the home for it. But also, I understand, that's what you do. You do have to make decisions like that sometimes. All right, so pack out on this one, and we talked a little bit about brand blocking, but pack out here. This one surprised me, but in every other set that we looked at in a conventional store, they have multiple facings on every item to make sure that they were packing out and not having to worry about backstock. Usually, like, there's a couple of double facings, but usually these fruit snacks, you can, if they're like 8 packs, maybe they're a 12 pack, you could still fit a case on the shelf, but it really requires tight ordering and really understanding how many items are on the shelf before it triggers you ordering, if you don't want to run back stock. I just thought it was weird that in this set there is so much variety of these different smaller packs here. But that could be because it's a kid thing. There's so many different I don't know, like the different trends of things like Paw Patrol, Bluey, Moana, Mario, Harry Potter. Some of these maybe seem a little like they've played their course a little bit, like Moana. I can't remember when that Moana 2 came out, but feels like that's probably run its course. Maybe not with the volume, and maybe, it's still on the shelf, so I assume it's still doing all right. Minecraft, so like Minecraft, Moana, Jurassic Park, those are, and maybe even Mario, like those are all ones that over time I see probably swapping out, for new movies and new licensing deals and things like that. I'm I would guess that maybe the manufacturer is still running through their product on this and has asked to work with the retailers on keeping it out for a certain length of time. All right, so pretty much at 30 minutes. Let me give you a quick wrap up here. When we go back and look at this and really ask like the set when it's shopper for new seasons, I would say probably a 6 or 7 out of 10. I don't even know why I'm grading it like this, but I think it does a pretty good job. Carries the top sellers and natural. It's got some really high quality ingredient items, like, simple ingredient solely items. It's got a few different brands here. It's got some promotions in the fruit snack section. In this section, like I said, it's a little weird with some of these items here, but overall with fruit snacks, I think they do decent job. I think they have a little bit of opportunity with the items and being able to bring in another brand potentially. here at Fred Meyer, I think overall, it's messy, but it probably does serve their customer best. I think still opportunity for more natural. You could get rid of some of these double facings. You could potentially get rid of the mega pack and consolidate some of these items to potentially make the either the whole bottom natural, or you could run the snack pack above the top and then move natural up in this block. There's lots of different ways to look at doing that. Personally, I would run the snack packs across the top versus a vertical, but I know that more conventional strategies are generally leaning more towards the vertical sets. So it, you know, did they hit their customer? I think so for the most part. I think they are missing here in natural though, because their customer is crossing over not only to Costco but to they shop New Seasons and some of the other higher end stores too for the natural items that they can't get here. And this is a to me is a clear opportunity where or point where a customer, if they're not getting their Barry-O-Yo or the Soli, they got to go to New Seasons to get it. So that's an opportunity for them for sure. All right, guys, we are a little over half hour. I'm gonna wrap it up, but just to let you know the schedule for the rest of the week. Tomorrow I'll be doing Q&A, 10:30 Pacific, and then on Friday we're going to be doing our product review, which is New Primal Rotisserie Seasoned Chicken Sticks. I surprisingly have not had this one yet, so I'm excited for it. I'm actually like, it's really hard for me not to open it up right now, but looking forward to it, and I hope to see you there. If you have see this, you're live or you watching it afterwards, if you have some ideas or thoughts on which segment you like the best and what's helping you the most, please let me know in the comments or hit me up in messages so I know. And then we'll just keep rolling.